So this is part B of episode 21. The day that I'm recording today is Friday, June 16th, and this should go live in 2 Wednesdays. We're going to talk about some works in progress, as well as May totals and a non-fiber craft. So let's get started. Oh, and I forgot to mention that this is the Ladybug Laboratory podcast. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry and all of the places in the down bar, and there is a Made For Me make-along in the Ravelry group with a finished object and a chatter thread, so go ahead and check that out. Let's talk about works in progress. I have quite a few works in progress, way more than I had finished objects. So I guess to start with the ones that you have, there's not a lot that you've already seen, honestly. But we can start with those. So first off, I have my Captain Tight socks right here, which are going to be Afterthought heel socks. This is where I'm going to put the heel. And this yarn is Into the World Captain Tight Pants colorway, and it is resist dyed. These are for my husband, and I made them on Shiogu's 2.75 millimeter 9-inch circs. This is what I have left in its little yarn bra. I love how it's like all shrunk. I love those because they keep it together. They're amazing. So I'm going to put this in my mini blanket, probably spread the love, and I think I haven't decided if I'm going to do contrast heels for this one. I'm probably not. I'm probably just going to do this. But yeah, so since you saw this last, let's see, last time you saw it, I had finished one sock, and I had, wait, no. Last time you saw it, I was here. On the first sock, I had gotten to about here. So I did a little bit more, then I did the cuff and finished up, then I did the entirety of the second sock. So I've gotten quite a bit done on that. I've had plenty of chances for just plain vanilla knitting. These, like my other Afterthought heel socks, are probably just going to sit there until it's time to give them as a gift, at which point I will put in the heel and wrap them up. What else have you already seen? My sweet grass socks. So these are using the Sweet Nuttons pattern by Cacao Coffee or something. Let me grab my sock blockers. And I'm using Knit Picks Stroll Tonal in the Pond colorway. And I'm using US 1s. And last time that you saw this, I was right about here, so I finished up the toe and finished the first sock. I'm really, really happy with these. I'm really happy with them. I'll turn it so you can see a little bit more of the pattern. But yeah, I'm really happy with these. I'm not going to start on the second one for a little bit, because I'm going away, which you will have heard about in part A. And I'm not bringing this with me because it has beads, and I don't want to get things too complicated. But I'm really happy with that first one, and I will definitely be finishing those. Those aren't just going to disappear. Yeah, I think the only other work in progress that you have seen is my blanket for my friend Chase. So, I have since added some squares on the top. There's still a hole, because I'm waiting for some squares in the mail. I've added some on the bottom. And I've made this border. So for those of you that missed the story, basically my friend Chase is getting married, and she founded an incredibly supportive knitting group. So we all made a square. She's already married at this point, but we all made a square, and I crocheted them together with a flat braided crochet join. And for that, I used Swan's Island Washable Wool Collection DK Weight 100% Washable Merino Wool. in the Snowy Owl colorway. And that was just a basic crochet join. And then my yarn is running away. Come back. Okay, sorry. And then the border, I also used Swan's Island, but I used a worsted weight. And this is 85 merino and 15 alpaca. The colorway is Sea Smoke, but I think it might be undyed. Yeah, so I'm really happy with this. On the back are little tags with all of the names. This will basically be done as soon as I get the last couple of squares in the mail. This is how it was presented to her at the wedding, and she cried, and it was wonderful. So, yeah, that is the last work in progress that you have actually seen before. You just fold this so that it doesn't get all stretched out. So from here we have to move on to works in progress that I've started since I last spoke to you. And there's actually quite a few. First up is my red dragon socks. And I'm making these for my brother. He wanted socks that were a little bit warmer than some fingering weight socks, but not too warm. So I got this, which is the Red Dragon colorway. I can't find it. I have the other one somewhere. Looks like this. Okay, so this is knit in the Machete Shop Dirty DK yarn. The colorway is Red Dragon. And I'm going to be making the Vanilla is the New Black socks for my brother. Let's see, this is in my socks bag by Dancing Sheep. I have a little ladybug pin on it. And I got into putting pins on my project bag recently. I'm not really sure why. And I am using size 3 Chiogus. Yeah. Next up, I did that one. Okay, this one is what I'm calling my Falling Leaves or Fading Autumn, I haven't decided, scarf. And this is the Backyard Leaves pattern. And this is for John Michael's Knit Along in the Double Dog Dare Knit Along that the Color and Life podcast and the Dog Dare podcast are doing together. And this is maybe my third start on this. I'm hoping at this point it works because this has to be done by June 21st to enter it in the Cal, so we'll see. But it starts with a provisional cast on. I'm using Louette Riverstone, which is a very, very deep stash yarn. I think from 2011, 2012. It would have been from 2012. And I got it at a local yarn store in Tennessee, and I went down. And I actually have 3 colors. So this one is Moss Green. This one is Caribou. And this one is Citrus. Citrus Orange. So what I'm going to do is do the Moss Green for the middle section. So the way that you work it is you work from the center out in 2 different parts. So what I'm going to do is do Moss Green and do half of the Moss Green, then join the orange and finish the orange. Then I'll go back up to the center and do the other half of the Moss Green and join the brown and do the brown. And it's going to be a little bit longer than the pattern calls for, but I like it. And I like the idea of having it be green and literally fall into brown and orange as I wear it around my neck. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. Geesh, I'm still having camera troubles. I'm so sorry. So obviously I am not going to be wearing that scarf anytime soon because it is Aran weight, 100% wool, not happening. But I'm knitting it on size 9 Chiogus for my new interchangeable set. And I'm excited for it to be done. I have a hat that I made this past year out of some more of this caribou, so I can definitely wear those 2 together, and I'm pretty excited for it. And in part C, I will talk a little bit more about my plans for that, but without getting too distracted, let's keep going with works in progress. So, And by the way, neither of those, that, nor the blanket, nor the socks, those aren't living in any project bags because, well, the scarf I'll talk about in a second, but living in this one, which is my Front Range Bags Tea Time bag, and I have a Kublai pin on it, and I said I would talk about this. So while I was at Kublai, I got a pin, I didn't know where to put it, I put it on my project bag, and I decided I kind of liked that, so I've been pulling out all my pins that I didn't know what to do, and putting them in my project bags. Yes, I did go to Kublai, and it was a lot of fun. Living in this is the Morning Mist tea, which looks like this. That's the back. The front is just plain stockinette. And this is by Annie Claire. I am using the Pacific Yarn Company Zephyr. And you may have heard me mention this before, but I did some dyeing. I did some hand dyeing. This is my first hand dyeing experiment. I'll be right back. So what I did is I bought that yarn in a Kickstarter, and it came with blue. I got 1 blue, 1 pink, 1 purple, and 7 greens. I got to pick the colors. I had 10 skeins. Oh my god. Okay, I have a folding screen right there to diffuse the light, and it literally just fell over on me. Anyway, and none of them were quite the exact colors that I wanted, so I experimented with some dyeing. The pink one turned out really ugly, so I used that for my swatch. So this is my swatch, and I swatched with size 4 needles, and it was painfully tight to knit. Then I didn't have 5, so I switched to 6s. That was a bit better. And then I did 5s. Overall, I'm a little bit caught between the 5s and the 6s in terms of gauge, but that's okay because I'm going to go with the 5s and I'm going to use the 6s for the lace part because that does call for a slightly larger needle size. So I'm using my Chigu interchangeables on these, and for the lace section I'm just using, I think it's called Oyster Sand Dollar. I think it's called Sand Dollar. It's just the bare undyed yarn. So this is the lace section. I'm almost done with it. And the way this is constructed, you knit a certain amount out from the center. So this Progress Keeper, which is adorable. It's by Lovebird Lane's Yarns and Gifts. Got it on Etsy. So that's marking the center. So I've done 9 repeats this way, and I've done 8 this way, so I have 1 more to do. This will be my lace panel. The top is constructed in a really interesting way. I'm not 100% sure if I completely even understand it, but I'm going to be doing the lace panel in the Sand Dollar, and then the body of the sweater is going to be in this sort of mossy color. And I'm really excited for those. I think they're going to look fantastic together. I'm really, really pumped. So this is Zephyr. It is DK weight. It is, I believe it's a 50-50 wool and cotton. It might be 60-40. But it's wool and cotton. What else to say about that? There's not much else to say about that. I'm using my Chigus, size 6s, and I will switch to 5s when I start working with the green. Okay. What is next? My dark matter. Okay. So these are another pair of Afterthought heel socks that I started. They're just completely vanilla socks. And I'm also doing these on my new Chigu interchangeables. Can you tell why I bought them? This is size 1.5, 2.25 millimeter. I don't know. I am making these for my brother. So, and the reason that both of the pairs of socks that I'm working on right now are for my brother is because I'm going to be seeing him when I go on my trip, so I can try him on his feet, which will be useful. This is using, gosh, I don't remember. I'll put it in the down bar. But this is a self-striping yarn, and I got it at a yarn swap. I really like it. I've already put this in my blanket, and I've given out a couple of minis of this, so you might have this. I don't think I'm going to do a contrast heel or toe. Heel or cuff, obviously not a toe. Yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it how it is. Make these for my brother. And this is living in my Lone Larch to-go bag with the trees. And I have a little apple pin on that one. Alright. Did that one? Sun and Sand. This is the last work in progress, that I have to show you today. And this is living in my Mama Made Waffles Foxes project bag. This is the In the Sun hat, which is like literally a sun hat. And it is by Erica Jakowski of Fiddle Knit Designs. So I'm really, really almost done with this one. This is it. All I have to do is weave in the ends and block it. And as you can tell, it flops around my face. So what I'm going to do is I have some wire. I'm going to do as the pattern suggests, add the wire to the edges to make it stay out, and then I'm going to block it. I'm not going to block it super aggressively because I don't want it to be bigger than my head. But I'm really happy with this. I believe I used Chigu 5s on this one. And then 7s for the brim. And this is with just some linen that I dyed that same time that I dyed the others. Literally the only time I've ever dyed yarn. And I used it on my Tuscarora top a year ago, if you've been with me for that long. Yeah. I don't have anything else to say in terms of works in progress, so let's go on with the show. Just a couple more things to talk about today. First of all, my May totals, since I actually haven't seen you guys since May. So in May, I brought in 2,924 yards, and I used 1,668, which put me at a total of about 1,200 yards more in my stash than I had started with. And when I add that to my previous records, that brings me to 5,146 yards more in this year, 2017, than out, which is actually pretty good. I mean, the highest I've been at is 7,500, so I'm not particularly upset with that. There's a lot of stuff that, there's a lot of stuff in this. For instance, all the yarn that I used for the blanket or for my druidry is all going in June because I either haven't finished the blanket or I just finished druidry or all that stuff. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm on track. I'm cool with it. And the only, found it. The only other thing to talk about today is a non-knitting craft. This isn't even fiber related actually. And this is from Kublai, which I mentioned that I went to, and they had a painting minis sort of for beginners thing, so I made this. So this was a completely gray, unpainted mini of a gunslinger, like an Old West sort of cowgirl theme. So I painted it with tiny, tiny brushes and paints. I'm incredibly happy with this. I really am. It's very deceptively difficult to do, but I'm really happy with it. And like the jacket, I don't even know if you can see it, but there's like a little bit of shading on there. I will try and put in some better pictures, but I'm very, very happy with this. I modeled it after Zoe from Firefly, if you've ever seen that, except that I gave her red hair because everything else was blending in. So, yeah, I'm really happy with this. And I painted the ground yellow like the desert because also of Firefly. So, and the moon scene with Patience. Anyway, I'm really happy with this. I don't know if I'm going to be using this in any games, but because most of the ones that I play are more fantasy-based, and this is definitely not. But I'm incredibly proud of it. So, leave right there for now. That's all that I have for you today. So thank you for joining. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, that's all. Happy stitching.